Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing Small Town Titans doing a cover of The Grinch.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
That's cool.
You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
So I love the low notes that he was getting to. He went down to a D, which is actually a little more accessible for the average bass than I think people think. It's definitely the low end, but you can get there. It's not unthought of, but he did it really, really well. It had very nice resonance to it. It sounded really healthy and clear, and it didn't get breathy, which was really great. A lot of times when people get to the extreme of their range on the low end, they let it get very, very breathy. He did not do that. He kept his vocal cords together. He kept everything in a really balanced place. So I think that was awesome. At the same time, I don't know what effects have been put on his voice. This isn't a completely live recording. There have been some other effects on top of it. It's been mixed really well. It's well produced. There's nothing wrong with something being produced, but recognize this is produced, and it just isn't quite as honest to what you might have when you're practicing on your own, or what you'd hear if you were just listening to one person without any computers.
Just face the music, you're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole.
He's got a really nice high end too. I mean, he's up at the A now, so he's covering over 2.5 octaves. Well, actually, that is 2.5 octaves, and that's great. That gives you so many notes that you can work with to make art or to make whatever you're performing. I think that's awesome. He's playing around with how forward and back it sounds, where at this high part where he added in the distortion, it was a very forward sound. It was like, and then he would go to some of the Grinchier narrator sound, where he's creating a little bit more space. His tongue is a little bit in a different position. His larynx is a little bit dropped. Everything's just a little bit lower. He's going back and forth between these to show character and to show differences, because if we just have the exact same sound all the way through a song, it gets really, really boring, and they are not boring.
You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You got termites in your smile.
See right there, that's another character.
All the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Well, given the choice between the two of you, I would take the seasick crocodile.
Oh, that's so good. I think he's creating a lot of pressure underneath it, but it doesn't sound compressed. It feels like he's getting that compression because I think that's a false chord scream on top of it, where that's adding a little bit of extra resistance. I could have that wrong, but the underlying sound of his voice, of just what he's singing, it sounds pretty good and clear. And well balanced. It's just looking at him, and I'm not sure if this was the same take. Really, I don't know anything about what they did with their production, and it's not worth my time to comment on it. But he doesn't look like it's just the easiest thing, in that he's just like bracing a little bit more than I would usually want at that, but it's working. So if he gets tired at the end of it, that's where it would be worth, reevaluating and making sure that he's getting that in a way that's sustainable. But it feels like it is, because the underlying sound just sounds so easy to me. And maybe I'm letting that taint how I'm feeling about this, just at this level. But a lot of what I do is just asking if it sounds good and if it sounds healthy, and it does sound healthy to me. And so, like, knowing exactly how everything lines up, you don't really need to, because we don't need to adjust anything underneath it. It's good to know exactly how we're getting a sound, if we need to change something, or if we need to know exactly how, so that it's recreatable or teachable. But he definitely doesn't need to make very many changes. He's singing well.
You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch.
I love his voices, though. He's got very clear characters.
Wasty skunk.
And he plays a lot with how he's articulating his consonants and making them percussive and making them have character. And he's just doing really interesting things with his consonants. They're not really affecting his voice, like the actual voice, but it's making him sound like different people and different characters. And I love that he's so character driven. It works.
Your heart is full of unwashed socks and your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three best words I would use to describe you are as follows, and I quote: Stag! 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 Yeah!
Kind of reminds me of Adam Pascal, just with that sound. It's like a really clear musical theater rock sound. I love it. It's the guy who sang in School of Rock and in Rent. He's really good. It sounds clear, but that's kind of who I'm reminded of. They both are good singers who have this high belt and then add on really controlled, even distortion that's super accessible to the ear because it's not harsh. It doesn't hurt them and they don't look like they're hurting, so we can watch it and enjoy it. Really good singing. Like, again, I don't know how much is edited in and, you know, what he actually sounds like on one uninterrupted take, which is important to know for what I'm doing. And the reason that I usually don't do many produced things that aren't one live continuous verifiable take is because that's not what I do as a voice teacher. And what I'm doing with these videos is basically evaluating what I'm seeing, how I would if someone was coming to me asking for help. I know that most of these people don't ask me to do this, but that's the whole point of these videos, is to say how I evaluate a voice in the moment. And the further away from the actual sound of their voice that I hear in a controlled room that I know what the acoustics sound like, it's just not as verifiable. Like, I can't tell exactly what's going on because I don't know what's him and what's been added and what's been taken out. And so that's hard. But the sound underneath everything sounds so healthy to me. I don't think he's going to be blowing anything out. It doesn't sound like he's trying to get really, really heavy as he goes to his high notes. He's keeping everything very neutral. There was only one part where the distortion sounded like it was more of a guttural sound. The rest of it sounded very controlled and even. And I think that he's singing really well, and that people shouldn't be afraid of hard music, because you can have it be performed and have it be sustainable and have a long career singing really hard styles of music, as long as you know how to do it without hurting. And I think that he probably does. So good for you guys. That was really cool. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Go check out my website, vocalease.net, if you're interested in signing up for a lesson with me or with one of my other teachers. Thank you.